Hi, Tish here with Awakening with Soulspirational. Welcome back. For those of you that have been watching the show, you may notice that I haven't done videos over the course of the past few months, and that actually leads me to why I'm doing today's video. I am autistic. I am autistic. And I have questioned it over the last probably 4+ years, but I didn't fit the stereotype that one thinks of when they think of autism. So I put off getting an assessment because I didn't know what I would do with that information anyway. I didn't know what it would mean. I wasn't ready for it, to be honest with you either. Anyway, this year has been interesting to say the least. And it brought me to a place where I really needed to look at myself in things. And those of you that have been watching the show, I have shared myself with you. So for the person who may be asking, like, why would you go public? I've already shared myself, my history, my thoughts with you. Not everybody is comfortable talking about their diagnosis. For me, you know, I am comfortable talking about it. I'm not ashamed that I have an autistic brain. So, and I have a platform. And to me, this video today is more like a PSA than it is one of my traditional energy videos, for example. I want to destroy the stereotype of autism because it looks like me too. I had a Facebook friend, I think, inside this past year who shared her diagnosis, and that actually offered more space for me to think, well, maybe I am. That's why this video. If there's somebody watching this video who has questioned whether or not you too are on the spectrum, I'm going to share some things with you during this video. Not everybody wants to know. And I am what's called a late in life diagnosed as autistic. I'm 53. So I have spent my lifetime doing what's called masking, this covering up of my autistic traits and fitting into society and societal norms because I've always felt weird and different. And what's wrong with my brain? Why is my brain so different? I look at all these little tiny pieces as opposed to like the big picture. I have to like break everything out and analyze everything and whatever. So anyway, so here I am. Some people don't want to be diagnosed when they're further in life as I am and older. Because again, they've spent their life adjusting and readjusting and adjusting and readjusting that they just don't want to know. And I totally understand it because it's been a difficult, I guess, challenging, but yet also very insightful. And for me personally, I'm only a week and a half out from my diagnosis, although I've known this. I mean, I guess I've really known it for years, but really this summer I came to realize I'm autistic. And yeah, then I was whispering it like, I'm autistic. I know I'm autistic. But wanting to get the assessment, because there's always that room for doubt. So wanting to get a professional to assess and then ultimately the diagnosis. So just means our brains are wired differently or they've developed differently. They're just different than, normal people's brains. And I do this in quotes. The term is neurotypical or neurodivergent. So I would be what would be considered neurodivergent. And sorry, I got a squeaky chair. So again, I'm bringing this video for those of you that might be thinking you too are on the spectrum and that you don't fit the stereotype. One of the things too is I didn't want to diminish the people I knew with loved ones who struggled in different ways with their autism. And that held me back too, because I didn't want to come across as disrespectful. But both things can be true, that autism can present itself the way in which their loved ones do, and then it can also present the way in which I do. So because autism looks so different, I could be in a room with 10 other autistic people and we're going to present differently. There are terms like high functioning or Asperger's syndrome, which is no longer a term. It was folded into autism spectrum disorder back in 2013. But with Asperger's, where like people speculate that Einstein was on the spectrum, would probably be Asperger's. Elon Musk, for example, I don't know if he truly is, but at least the speculation. So it presents in so many different ways. High functioning, it's, we don't need help with, brushing our teeth or combing our hair or getting dressed. Some people I have found don't really care for the term high functioning either, because they feel as though it diminishes what they experience behind closed doors. Even with doing these videos, when I first started doing this TV show, or the series for WCTV, I was mortified. But I wanted to get the information out to others, to help others. That it took a lot of, and still, it takes me time, effort, energy in order to create these videos. And I know it does for most people who do videos, but there is this energy and this structuring that takes place in order for me to do the videos and to get some sort of clarity. And I could go through umpteen videos before I finally do one where I'm like, okay. So because I get scattered, as I'm going through, and oftentimes ADHD is also diagnosed with somebody with autism, and which that one actually surprised me more than the autism did. But because I don't know what's in other people's brains, I know how my brain is. So it just wasn't, again, I didn't fit the stereotype. I didn't think of ADHD, but so I have this brain that so with autistics, a lot of times, like, they find a special interest and shoop, it's like we are locked on it. We can, just give you details and stats and whatever it may be about whatever their special interest is, or those special interests are. And I have found my niche. And it's interesting to think that all these videos that I've done over these years, they've always been through the eyes in the brain of an autistic person. I just didn't know it. So I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. Videos are going to be a little bit different, maybe. I've created a YouTube channel called Autism and Enlightenment, my personal journey. So I'm going to, because I'm still going to like share energy stuff and spiritual stuff and the tools for healing. That channel is going to be for those that are interested in learning more about autism, energy work through my knowing autistic brain. And, it's funny because I've spent all these years healing. And then earlier this year, it's like, why? Like, I've healed so much stuff. I mean, not that I've totally healed, because something is going to inevitably come up. But I have done so much work, and I had been asking myself, like, what's going on? How can I do so much healing, and yet these other things are coming up? And it's interesting, because you ask and you shall receive, right? And I did. Boy, did I receive. So readjusting and here's a big one. Like, I try to be kind to myself anyway, because I can actually be very harsh on myself. Like, work, get things done. But then I'll give myself the time for self-care. This has brought up a new meaning for me, that when I feel as though I'm headed towards what's called an autistic meltdown, a way of being able, I'm learning how to catch myself and different tools. So those are the kinds of things I'm going to be sharing on my autism specific YouTube channel. You know, and I'm not one for labels, but this really helped me to get that diagnosis. And again, if you don't feel comfortable getting the diagnosis because you've spent a lifetime adjusting to society, totally get it. For me, it was worth it. And like, I can't speak for other autistic people either because we do present so differently. This is my story. And I simply just wanted to share it with you. Those that have been watching, those that may even be new to this show, Awakening with Soul Inspirational. So here I am still awakening, right? And for that, I'm grateful that there's something new about myself to discover. And I'm excited to think, like, are there tools in which I can figure out to help myself that may be able to help others? So again, from an energetic or a spiritual perspective. And, you know, and things have already been coming to me, but I'm working through those myself. All right, so I took off from the internet 8 signs that you might be an adult with autism. Difficulty maintaining eye contact. So some of us are still good at it when we're speaking person to person because we're taught like it's rude not to make eye contact. And I'm one, I tend to look at people when they're talking to me, but when I talk, I tend to avert my eyes. Anyway, some autistics will watch the person's mouth as opposed to the eyes. An autistic person may have difficulty picking up on small social cues. And maybe you're at a party, certain things are said, and you're like, I don't understand. And I'm actually like that with jokes. So I take things literally. And I will use idioms to help explain something, but because I take things so literal, like, and I'm very visual, I have a difficult time making things up. So fiction is hard for me because it's hard for me to put myself in like the character's story because I know it's make-believe and I just don't do well with make-believe, which I know for some of you may be like, well, you do tarot and medium readings. Yeah, I do, but I'm not making up what I'm getting. Like, and again, sorry for my squeaky chair. I'm not making up for what I'm getting. I'm just literally passing along the information that is coming through. Anyway, so, where was I going to go with that? All right, so picking up on small social cues. Struggling to empathize. Some people, some autistics are incredibly sensitive. Others, I believe, are so sensitive and empathic that they get overwhelmed easily by the emotions of others. And then others have a harder time with empathy. Holding a back and forth conversation. You know, this is one of the ways in which I've learned to mask over the years too. So knowing when the other person is done talking so that we can talk where it's more of a natural conversation. Repetitive behaviors or what's called stimming. And stimming is if you see somebody, for example, rubbing their fingers, it may be that they need to keep playing with their hair, or those who know me familiar with this, right? Because this is it's a way in which I cleanse energy. So this is also, and I have said this to people, this is a way for me to reset my mind. So, you know, I'm whatever it is that I'm talking about, when I'm doing this, it gives my brain something to do so I can kind of reset my mind. This is also, I've come to realize, a form of stimming for me. So yeah, repetitive behavior. Stimming is this way to self-stimulate. that's what I love about how today we have like fidget spinners and different fidget toys that people can use today too. Anyway, repetitive behaviors are sinning. Strict adherence to routine and having outbursts if those routines are disrupted. So, this is one where I saw myself much more easygoing than I am. Realizing while I was going through the assessment and waiting for the diagnosis that this has been a difficult thing for me. So, and again, I don't want to get too much into specifics. I'll do that on the YouTube channel, but something to think about. So in other words, if every morning you have the same routine before you, is part of a way of starting your day, and something interrupts your routine, are you easygoing? Do you just like go on to the next thing? Or do you feel like you're overwhelmed and anxious because something threw your routine off? Or maybe it's getting ready for bed, or maybe it's a routine you do when you're at home. If something is affecting your routine and you have, again, maybe a highly charged reaction to it, that may be a sign. Laser focus on details and facts. So especially when we are hyper-focused and on something that we really love to do, yeah. But it doesn't, I know for myself, it doesn't have to be just what I'm hyper-focused on. It could be other things where, other things that I'm doing, or in a conversation that somebody says something and like I'm going in and it's, you know, I call it deconstructing, and I don't know if it's, but I think that's what I'm doing. I don't know. It's like I'm taking a word that I just heard, that my brain hit on, and it's like I'm deconstructing it. I'm making sense of it. In sensitivity or lack thereof of things like sounds, texture, and light. So I have the lights on now as I'm doing the video, and I don't know, but I'm probably squinting through this as well. I have a sensitivity to light, but for video, I know that I need to have it on. Like, it makes my eyes really tired and sore. I have a sensitivity to sound, like this chair. I'm not going to use this chair going forward because it really is annoying me because it keeps squeaking. And those who have been into the studio, like, I don't wear my wedding bands because they clank, and that noise is really distracting. Or if it's people yelling or screaming, you know, there are different news channels or TV shows that I just can't watch because I can't listen to them because of the pitch of the voices, or they're screaming, or whatever it may be. So same thing with commercials. If I'm near a train and if I'm in public, I will avoid, because it's part of the masking, doing this because I don't want to look weird. When there are a lot of people in the room and a lot of crosstalk, I want to do this, but I don't want to be rude. So when I know I'm going to be in a room full of people, that's part of preparing my energy for knowing that it's coming. So, okay. So those are some signs. And just because you're like, well, this one or that one, still doesn't mean you're autistic. So I don't want to freak anybody out with it either. Just know that, again, girls and women often mask very well. So we aren't diagnosed in the numbers by which boys and men are diagnosed. And even when I say men and women, adult assessment and diagnosis of autism, there just aren't enough clinicians who are trained to diagnose adults with autism. I know somebody who is part of a group of mental health professionals, and this person asked if they could be assessed for autism because they believe that they are on the spectrum. And they were told that they didn't and that it's too difficult. Well, I would argue that is it really too difficult, or is it just that there aren't enough clinicians? Because I'm not the only adult who has been diagnosed with autism, which leads me to my next point. If you are speculating, if you're wondering for yourself, I would ask for you to go to YouTube and you can Google, do whatever search that you want. But for me, what I did, I went to YouTube and I searched adult autism. And I started watching videos of these autistic people that were diagnosed later in life. You know, her channel, the name of her channel is Mom on the Spectrum. And she was diagnosed, I believe, at 31. The other channel I really enjoy watching, can't think of the guy's name. It's Orion something, I believe. But the name of his channel is That Autistic Guy. Now, that being said, I watched numerous other channels as well. I've also really enjoyed watching TED Talks with autistic people. And some of those actually have really stuck with me, really resonated with me. So if you are wondering if you may be, I would suggest going there, talk to your mental health professional. If they don't have anybody on site who does, then, you know, look online and see where you can be assessed for the diagnosis. Okay. Yeah, follow what feels right for you always. All right, so with that, I'm going to go. If you guys have questions, please let me know. Otherwise, until next time, thank you, be well, and namaste.